If you feel thirsty, headachy, or weirdly tired, you probably want relief fast. But chugging a huge bottle of water can backfire. It can upset your stomach, dilute electrolytes, and still leave you feeling off. The goal is simple: rehydrate quickly and safely without overdoing it. Think of dehydration as two problems: not enough fluid and not enough minerals to hold that fluid where it belongs. Your body needs sodium and a little glucose to absorb water efficiently, especially after sweating. That's why just water sometimes doesn't fix the problem. In the next few minutes, you'll get a practical step-by-step approach. You'll learn how to check your level of dehydration, what to drink first, and how much is usually enough. You'll also learn the red flags that mean you should stop guessing and get medical help. Let's start with the fastest, safest first move. Moving to slide 2. First, do a quick self-check, because the fix depends on how dehydrated you are. Mild dehydration often feels like thirst, dry mouth, darker urine, and low energy. Moderate dehydration can add dizziness when you stand up, a faster heartbeat, and a noticeable drop in performance. If you're confused, fainting, unable to keep fluids down, or not peeing for many hours, that's not a DIY situation. Another useful clue is context. Did you sweat a lot, drink alcohol, have diarrhea, or spend hours in heat? Those situations usually mean you lost both water and electrolytes. Also check your mouth and lips. If they're sticky and dry, you're likely behind. Urine color can help, but it's not perfect. Vitamins can turn it bright yellow. The point is to choose the right intensity. Small sips and electrolytes for mild to moderate, and medical care for severe signs. Next, let's do the fastest first drink strategy. Moving to slide 3. If you want speed, start with small, frequent sips, not a flood. A practical target is about half a cup to a cup every 5 to 10 minutes. That pace is easier on your stomach and improves absorption. If you're thirsty, you'll still drink a meaningful amount in the first half hour, just without triggering nausea. Use cool or room temperature fluids. Ice cold can bother some people, and very hot drinks slow you down. If you've been sweating, add electrolytes early, not later. Even a light electrolyte drink can help your body hold on to what you drink. If you only have water, that's still better than nothing, but don't treat it like a race. Also, avoid carbonated drinks at first. The gas can make you feel full before you've actually rehydrated. In the next scene, we'll talk about the key idea people miss. Water absorption depends on sodium, and sometimes a little sugar. Moving to slide 4. Here's the core mechanism. Your gut absorbs water best when sodium is present, and glucose can help pull sodium along. That's the logic behind oral rehydration solutions, often called ORS. You don't need a fancy brand, but you do need the right idea. Plain water can dilute sodium in your bloodstream if you drink a lot quickly, especially after heavy sweating. That can leave you with a headache, nausea, and fatigue, even though you're hydrated on paper. Electrolytes don't need to be extreme. You're not trying to load salt. You're trying to replace what you lost and help water stay in circulation. If you have an electrolyte packet, follow the label and don't double it to speed things up. If you're making a simple version at home, keep it mild and drink it slowly. Next, we'll cover what to choose in real life: sports drinks, ORS, coconut water, broth, and what actually works best. Moving to slide 5. So what should you actually drink? If you're mildly dehydrated with light sweating, water plus a salty snack can be enough. If you've been sweating a lot or you have diarrhea, an oral rehydration solution is usually the most efficient option. Sports drinks can help, but many are higher in sugar than you need, and some are low in sodium. Coconut water tastes great, but it's often low in sodium too, so it's not a complete rehydration tool by itself. Broth is underrated. Warm, salty, and easy to sip, especially if you don't feel like drinking something sweet. For many people, a good fast fix is alternating: a few sips of electrolyte drink, then a few sips of water. That keeps it palatable and avoids overdoing sugar or salt. The big rule is to match the drink to the loss. Next, let's talk about how much you actually need, because more isn't always better. Moving to slide 6. People ask, how much should I drink to fix this fast? The honest answer is enough to relieve symptoms and normalize urine over time, not enough to feel stuffed. A practical approach is to drink about 500 milliliters over the first 30 to 60 minutes. in small sips. Then reassess. If you're larger or you lost a lot of sweat, you may need more. If you're smaller, you may need less. Your body can only absorb so much per minute, and pushing past that just sends you to the bathroom or makes you nauseated. Use feedback loops. Thirst should ease. Your mouth should feel less dry. Your heart rate should settle. Urine should gradually move toward pale yellow over the next few hours. If you're peeing clear every 20 minutes, that can be a sign you're overshooting. Next, we'll cover the common mistake that slows rehydration, forgetting food, and especially sodium, when you're trying to recover. Moving to slide 7. Rehydration isn't only a drinking problem. It's also a what's in your bloodstream problem, and food helps. If you can tolerate it, add a small salty snack or a light meal within an hour. Think crackers, soup, rice with a pinch of salt, or a sandwich. Sodium helps you retain fluid, and carbs help refill glycogen, which stores water in your muscles. That's one reason athletes often feel better after eating, even if they already drank plenty. If you're nauseated, go simpler: broth, pretzels, or a few bites at a time. Also, don't forget potassium and magnesium from normal foods. Bananas, yogurt, potatoes, and leafy greens can support recovery over the rest of the day. You don't need supplements for most mild cases. The goal is steady restoration, not an aggressive reset. Next, we'll talk about what to avoid, because some popular drinks can make dehydration worse or slow your recovery. Moving to slide 8. A few things can sabotage your Rehydrate fast plan. Alcohol is a big one because it can increase urine output and disrupt sleep, which slows recovery. If dehydration came from drinking alcohol, your best move is water plus electrolytes, then stop adding more alcohol. Caffeine is more nuanced. Moderate caffeine in coffee or tea usually isn't a disaster for regular users, but it can irritate your stomach, and it's not the fastest rehydration tool. Very sugary drinks can also backfire. High sugar can pull water into the gut and worsen diarrhea in some people. Energy drinks add another issue. Stimulants can raise heart rate and make you feel worse when you're already depleted. Finally, be careful with mega electrolyte products. Too much sodium at once can upset your stomach and isn't necessary for mild dehydration. Next, we'll cover special situations: heat, exercise, stomach bugs, and how the strategy changes slightly for each. Moving to slide 9. Let's tailor this to common scenarios. After exercise and heat, you typically need fluid plus sodium. A simple plan is electrolyte drink in the first 30 minutes, then water and a normal meal. For long sweating sessions, weigh yourself before and after next time. Weight loss is mostly fluid, and it helps you estimate needs. For a stomach bug with diarrhea, the priority is ORS-style sipping, because your gut is losing fluid fast. Keep portions small and frequent, and avoid heavy fatty meals until you stabilize. If dehydration is from air travel or dry indoor air, you often just need steady water intake and a normal salty meal. Electrolytes can help, but it's usually not extreme. For kids and older adults, dehydration can escalate faster, so be more cautious and consider earlier medical guidance. Next, we'll talk about the overdoing it side: how to recognize when you're drinking too much water and pushing electrolytes out of balance. Moving to slide 10. Overhydration sounds unlikely, but it happens, especially when people panic and chug water after heavy sweating. The risk is lowering sodium in the blood too much, sometimes called hyponatremia. Early signs can look like dehydration, headache, nausea, fatigue, so it's easy to misread. Clues include drinking large volumes of plain water, very clear urine, bloating, and feeling worse instead of better. Another clue is swelling in fingers or puffiness, though that's not always present. The fix is not to keep forcing water. Slow down. Add electrolytes in reasonable amounts and let your body catch up. If symptoms are severe, confusion, vomiting that won't stop, seizures, seek urgent medical care. For most people, the prevention is simple: sip, don't slam, and include sodium when sweat loss is high. Next, we'll build a simple 1-hour rehydration protocol you can remember and use without measuring everything perfectly. Moving to slide 11. Here's a simple 1-hour protocol that works for most mild to moderate dehydration. Step 1. Start sipping. Half a cup to a cup every 5 to 10 minutes. Step 2. Include electrolytes early if you sweat a lot, had diarrhea, or your urine is dark. That can be an ORS packet, a light sports drink, or broth. Step 3. After 20 to 30 minutes, reassess. If you feel noticeably better, keep going at a calmer pace. If you feel the same, add a bit more electrolytes rather than just more plain water. Step 4. Eat something small and salty if you can tolerate it. Step 5. Stop when thirst eases and your stomach feels comfortable. Then continue normal drinking through the day. This is deliberately conservative because the goal is steady improvement, not a dramatic flush. Next, let's talk about when dehydration isn't the main problem, like heat illness, infection, or blood sugar issues, and what warning signs should override the DIY plan. Moving to slide 12. Sometimes the real danger isn't dehydration itself, but what's causing it. Heat exhaustion can start with heavy sweating, weakness, and nausea, and it can progress if you stay hot. Get to a cooler place, rest, and rehydrate slowly. If you have a fever, persistent vomiting, or diarrhea that won't let you keep fluids down, dehydration can become serious quickly. Another red flag is chest pain, severe shortness of breath, or a racing heart that doesn't settle with rest and fluids. For people with kidney disease, heart failure, or who are on fluid restrictions, drink more can be unsafe, so personalized medical guidance matters. Also watch for signs of severe dehydration, confusion, fainting, very dry skin, sunken eyes, or no urination for a long stretch. If you're unsure, it's reasonable to err on the side of getting checked. Next, we'll cover smart prevention, so you're not repeatedly trying to fix dehydration fast in the first place. Moving to slide 13. The fastest fix is not needing the fix. Prevention is mostly about timing and consistency. If you know you'll sweat, start hydrating earlier and include some sodium in your food. During long workouts or outdoor work, don't wait for intense thirst. Use regular sips and consider electrolytes if the session is long, hot, or very sweaty. Afterward, replace gradually over a few hours instead of trying to catch up in 10 minutes. Another practical habit is to notice your personal signals. Some people get headaches first. Others get cranky or lose focus. Once you know your early signs, you can correct sooner with less effort. Also, don't ignore sleep. Poor sleep can amplify fatigue and make you misread your body as dehydrated when it's really just exhausted. Keep it simple: steady fluids, normal meals, and electrolytes when sweat loss is real. Next, we'll wrap everything into a quick checklist you can remember, and I'll leave you with 2 easy choices for your next dehydration episode. Moving to slide 14. Let's bring it home with a simple checklist. If you feel dehydrated, start with small sips, and give your gut time to absorb. If you've been sweating a lot or losing fluid through diarrhea, add electrolytes early. ORS is the most efficient. Broth is a great non-sweet option, and sports drinks can work if sugar isn't excessive. Reassess after 20 to 30 minutes. You're looking for steady improvement, not instant perfection. Add a small salty snack or light meal when you can, because it helps you retain what you drink. Avoid alcohol and very sugary drinks until you're back to normal. And watch for red flags like confusion, fainting, or inability to keep fluids down. Now for a quick question. When you're dehydrated, do you reach for A, plain water, or B, an electrolyte drink? Drop A or B in the comments. If you want more practical, calm health checklists like this, subscribe. This information is not a substitute for medical